So I moved to New York City. It is very surreal that I'm here. I still wake up every day and I'm like, wow, did I really do that? I've accidentally lied to dozens of people over the years by saying that I would move to LA after graduation. If you are one of those people, I am very sorry. I am just as surprised as you are. This is life, right? This is just what happens. Unexpected things happen. But here's why it's crazy that I'm here. I've talked about this before, but I took a trip to New York in November just for fun and not because I was considering moving here. Like, the thought had never even crossed my mind. I did not expect myself to fall in love with the city and kind of realize that I could really see myself living here and having the realization that New York City really aligns with what I want from my life right now. And after that, I just kind of began this obsessive phase of researching New York versus LA and reading a lot of articles and a lot of shit on Reddit about the differences between the two. I also started checking out the real estate market because the idea of apartment hunting was just like really stressful to me because I knew that rentals go really fast here, and so it would probably be really hard to find an affordable place that I liked. So I'm kind of toying around with the idea of moving to New York City. When I was trying to think of people that could potentially be my roommate, only one person came to mind, and it was a girl from college. She already lives here, but she lives with her family. So I'm thinking the odds of her being down to move out the exact same time that I'm trying to move out seems pretty low, but I text her anyway, and it turns out she is down to move out. In my obsessive research phase, I figure out that February is the cheapest month to rent in New York City because everybody wants to move when the weather's nice. Nobody wants to move in the dead of winter. And so I plan on being in New York City in mid-February to start apartment hunting and then hopefully find a place with a lease that starts on March 1st. Well, in the very beginning of the year, I'm scrolling through Facebook, and during my obsessive phase, I also joined a bunch of Facebook groups. So I joined a young females apartment hunting group, and a post pops up from that group, and it's a girl looking for 2 roommates for a place on the Upper West Side. The apartment's on the 1st floor, there's 1 bathroom, there's an in-unit washer, dryer, and dishwasher, and the rent is less than $1,000 a month. And so I'm like, damn, that's a really freaking good deal. Because for me, the biggest thing for my apartment was like, I need in-unit laundry. I am not going to a laundromat. I'm not like above it or anything, but it is just so much more convenient and such a time saver to just have laundry in your apartment. And so that was just something that was very important to me personally. And so I sent this to my friend who's agreed to be my roommate, and I'm like, hey, can you go check this place out? Because it's a really good deal and I feel like it's gonna go really fast. And I am in California, I'm out of state, so I can't go see it with her. And so she tours the place and she FaceTimes me. And we meet the girl who already lives here, and she's super nice. She's got a dog, but he's an older dog, so he's like very quiet. You barely know he's there. And the place is good. I mean, the rooms don't have closets and they're pretty small, but really it had everything we were looking for, and it was a really great deal. And it's in freaking Upper West Side Manhattan. Like, it's a really nice area, and it was a 3-minute walk to Central Park, and it was really great that it was on the 1st floor because you don't have to walk up a bunch of steps. It's like really common in New York for people to have like 5-story, 6-story walk-ups because the buildings here are really old. We decided that this is the apartment for us, which is really weird because it is literally the first place we've looked at, and I have not even seen the place in person, which is usually a really bad idea. But again, I had my friend go visit, and I trust her and I trust her judgment, and so for me it worked out. Here is the even crazier part. We get the lease and we realize the management company has not changed it from last year, and last year the terms were completely different and there were only 2 people living in this apartment. My rent is crazy cheap. It's like actually insane how crazy my rent is. The original terms were it would be a 16-month lease, which is a weird number, but it's a weird number because they negotiated the rent price down, and so it was supposed to be $950, $950, $850. But with the lease that they sent us, the total for the entire apartment was $2150, which means that we're paying $750, $750, $650. So I pay $650 to live in Upper West Side Manhattan, and I have an in-unit washer, dryer, and dishwasher. I'm not fucking with you. Everyone I tell this to is just like, Grace, what's wrong with the place? Was there blood on the walls? Was somebody murdered here? Do you have a shower? And I'm like, yes, we have a shower, and there's nothing wrong with the apartment. I just kind of lucked out, and I'm in awe that I lucked out because it's like the first person I text about becoming my roommate becomes my roommate, and the first apartment we look at is the apartment that we ended up signing a lease on. I'm not somebody that believes in fate. I'm not somebody that's like shit's meant to be. I don't necessarily know if I believe in those things, but it was just a little too easy for me to get here. I found a roommate so easily, and I have such a great deal on rent. When things like this happen and it feels like the universe is making a decision really easy for you, it kind of does feel like you're or supposed to be there in a sense, which is kind of what I needed because I have been saying that I would move to LA for so long. I went to LA in January before I signed the lease, so I had a chance to vibe check and kind of make sure I was making the right decision. And it was kind of what I expected. I like LA, but I couldn't see myself being happy there. I feel like it would be very easy to get lonely, and I just felt like the New York way of living was much more appealing to me. They're just very different vibes. I know I made an entire video about this, but now that I've been to both LA and New York recently, I have like additional thoughts. There's just nothing that compares to the energy of this city. LA is just a lot more chill, which is fine, but like I'm kind of in a place where I'm looking for chaos. I'm looking for excitement. And unfortunately, I do think that ultimately moving to LA probably would have been better for my career, but there are things in life that are bigger than just your career. The reason that I've been saying that I would move to LA for so long is literally just because of career. I didn't really think about what city would be a good fit for me or where I would be happy. It was just kind of like, this is where the jobs are, so this is where I'll be going. Like, there's no other considerations that need to be taken into account. But as I grew older and it actually became time to make the decision, it just didn't end up being the case that LA was the city for me. But again, I do want to be back still, so hopefully I can frequent LA for jobs and auditions. So my lease started on the 1st of February, but I booked a job in Orlando, so I went back there. I packed up all my shit. I had 4 storage containers and 2 boxes. I scheduled a UPS pickup and had all of it shipped out to my apartment. It wasn't too bad. I think in total it cost about $230, and I used Pirate Ship to get labels because they have pretty good discounts. I ordered a mattress and a bed ahead of time to make sure that they would get to the apartment before I did, so at least I knew I had a place to sleep. And then on February 12th, I flew to New York. It was really interesting. I booked a Southwest flight for the first time because they have 2 free carry-ons. And basically, I just didn't want to ship my microphone stand and my tripod because they were really heavy and oddly shaped. And so we just figured it would be easier to fly it out with me. I texted a bunch of my friends from Florida and I was like, how did you move to New York? And literally everyone said that they just booked Southwest flights or their family booked Southwest flights to bring all their shit to a different state. And so I was like, I guess I'll have to book a Southwest flight so I can bring some of my stuff on the plane. Southwest is also very interesting because you don't have assigned seats, which is like the first time I've ever encountered that, because airlines like always assign you a seat before you board. So you get on the plane and you feel like you're back at middle school. Like it's the first day of school and you're like judging everyone and trying to figure out where it's socially acceptable for you to sit when you don't fucking know anybody. Yeah, that's what flying a Southwest flight felt like. It took me back to middle school. Got on a plane to New York. I arrived. I went out and I got some tacos. First meal as a gal living in New York City. Came back to my apartment because I got takeout and I just ate on the floor of my tiny ass room, like using one of my storage bins as like a table. And then I just immediately started building my bed. That's like all I did the first night I got here. And I did it. I built my fucking bed by myself in one night. Very proud of myself. I despise building furniture, so it was like kind of overwhelming at first. We figured it out and I slept in an actual bed the first night I was here, which is a win in my books. The first day I was here, it was snowing and I loved it because it was fucking beautiful. And like I said, part of the reason why I feel like I really love New York is that it's so different from Florida, as opposed to LA is like very similar to Florida in a lot of ways. So it was like winter wonderland the first day I got here, which was pretty cool, but it became immediately obvious to me that I needed a winter coat because I didn't have one, because again, I'm from Florida. My first few days I was just like scrambling to find a good winter coat on Facebook Marketplace, and it just has made all the difference because now I'm like not afraid to leave my apartment. There's been a few warm days, but it can get quite cold here, especially when it's dark and especially when it's rainy and especially when it's windy. My first week here I spent putting my room together, figuring out what kind of furniture I wanted to order, and then ordering it and then assembling it and just kind of putting everything together, sourcing stuff from Facebook Marketplace, and I have successfully created a sanctuary here. I'm slowly letting people know that I've moved to the city. It's really crazy because every time a friend tells me they're coming into town, I mark it on my calendar just so like if possible I schedule around it so I can have as much time as possible to see them. It's really crazy how many people visit New York. My calendar is actually really full of just dates that my friends are coming to visit. Like it's actually really insane. People visit here all the time because it's New York and there's so much to do and it's fun and it's cool. There's also just like a lot of people I know that are like planning on moving here, or they're moving to a neighboring city like Boston or DC, and they plan on coming into the city as much as possible. Hopefully more of my friends will be joining me, or if not, I will see them when they come visit. It's cool living in New York. perfect because it just really feels like people come to you. In catching up with friends recently, I've had a lot of them tell me that I'm very lucky. I've never felt like a lucky person. I think this is maybe the first time in my life where I've felt like I've had a really good bout of luck. I feel incredibly lucky to be able to move here at such a young age to pursue my dream. I feel incredibly lucky to have found this apartment and to be living with two girls who are very sweet and very kind and who I get along with and who I enjoy being around and having random conversations in the kitchen with. And I feel very lucky to live in this city that has so much to offer and so much to do, and is just a place that is really exciting to be in your early 20s. I've been telling people that I want this city to chew me up, spit me out, and stomp on me. I want to be hurt. I want to live. I want to feel the full range of human emotions. I just want to feel like I'm alive. This city makes me feel like I'm alive. Still have a lot to figure out. Right now, acting kind of comes first. I need to find a headshot photographer. I need to figure out what class I want to take. I need to get an agent and start going on auditions. And I'm kind of in a networking phase. I'm meeting up with people that I went to film school with, catching up with them. Hopefully I can find a couple actors to talk to so I can pick their brains. There's a lot going on and a lot of it will take time. But I'm here. Things can start happening now that I'm here. I feel like I've been talking for so long. I hope you enjoyed the story of how I got to New York. Pretty crazy stuff, and I can't believe it happened to me, but I'm grateful that it did. And I'm excited to see what happens next. Thank you so much for watching. There's more to come. Bye.